Smoking marijuana to blow your mind, but in the end, nothing goes wrong. Nothing goes wrong.
Shit, fuck you talking about? And my conscience and my people asking me what the fuck am I doing? Fuck these niggas talking about, man. It's like, what the fuck am I doing? All these dreams I'm pursuing. Is everything that I touch turned into gold, or is it just ruin? King Midas ain't had these problems, my speaking patterns ain't fluent. And trust niggas I can't, I gave hoes a chance to me, they all blew it. In 5th grade, my teacher told me don't do drugs, it ain't worth it. Nowadays it's just wake up, drink, blow the pack and start working. I'm stressed out, so I'm puffing day.
Hello everyone, welcome to BudTawk, our community, our voice, Town Hall today. As I said, this is our first time doing this, so we do thank y'all for your time and energy. Today, ladies and gentlemen, our loyal listeners and followers, we do have special guests in the building today. I am going to start with Erica Miles. So you guys know, Erica Miles is a graduate of FAMU University, HBCU represent. But also, let me go here. I don't want to make it wrong. Damn, where should it go? Anyway, I'm sorry. Erica Miles is an HBC alumni, FAMU University. For y'all don't know, that's Florida Atlantic, something U.
Florida A&M.
Say it again.
Florida A&M University.
Florida A&M University. What does the A&M stand for, you know? You got to test her.
Agriculture and Mechanical.
All right. And then also today we have Anson Carr. He is a member, and I just want to make sure I have this correct, because I had everything set up on my setup. But here we go. So we have Anson Carr. Anson is born to Belizean. Am I saying that correct? Belizean.
Yes, sir.
Belizean parents. He is a first-generation Belizean American, and he is a street photographer. So am I. He loves capturing primarily Black images. He graduated with a BS in sociology, as well as law and society, and minor in psychology and business from the University of California, Riverside. He took to the arts managing an indigenous. I don't know why my thing's messing up. This will be a whole lot better next time, y'all. I'm sorry, but as you can see, managing an indigenous people art gallery. He's always connected to all things across African diaspora. He is seeking to maintain acute visual documentation of his people. So we definitely appreciate Mr. Carr for stepping in today. Excuse me. And also we have Ashley Hayward. I always want to say Haygood. I know that's wrong. It's Ashley Hayward, and she is coming to us from Texas today. Would you like to say a brief word to the people, Ashley?
Oh, it's because you want to hear my accent?
We try to be friendly with the people here.
I'm sorry?
We want to be friendly with the people here.
Hello, everyone. I mean...
Well, since y'all don't know, from a young age, Ashley has always made it her passion to be vocal and impactful within her community. She has utilized her platform by diving into operation managers for one of the most fragile populations, which is Medicaid, to be an advocate for those who cannot advocate for themselves. I do appreciate you for that. Ashley also obtained her BS in Business Administration and a minor in Project Management from the University of Phoenix. She is currently pursuing her MS, which is Master's in Business Administration. She also is minoring in Healthcare Management, and she's currently attending Texas Women's University. So TWU is in the building. Thank you for joining us today as well, Ashley. Just so everyone else know, as our loyal listeners and followers know, it is me, Your Highness Sir Sin. As always, with me is Bully. And then in the background, we got Wasabi, AKA Hefty Hef. And then on the other side, we got Tay Ross the Flame. And we are BudTawk. We will also have other friends of the program jumping in from time to time. But with that said, let's get right on into it, ladies and gents. How about that?
For sure, for sure.
Okay, so the first question is, and I'm just going to pick Erica because alphabetical order. How are you doing? What's it like where you are?
I'm doing well. Right now I'm in Gwinnett County, Georgia. Just a week ago, I went to my first small protest. I thought that was a very unique experience.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just hanging in there, just trying to advocate, learn, teach. This is just a interesting time. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, we appreciate you coming with us nonetheless. Ash?
thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Ash?
Oh, you said Ash. I'm sorry, I thought you said Anson. Right now things are good here in Austin. I'm in Round Rock technically. We've been having protests. I haven't had a chance to go down to any of the protests. So mostly for myself, I just, like Erica has been, trying to educate myself, educate other people, and then just try to stay present in the moment. So things are good.
I understand. What about you, Anson? How you doing?
Good. Being in Southern California is kind of different. We have it's pretty racially diverse out here, so it's interesting to see Caucasian people posting Black Lives Matter at this time when maybe a couple weeks before they wouldn't hold the door open for you at Starbucks. So
Ooh, ain't that the truth?
it's a little different, you try to take the good with the bad. So
I definitely appreciate that. Just a quick, for everyone who doesn't know, BudTawk is located in Wisconsin. And much like Anson said, it's been very different these past 10, 11 days, because those who don't know, Wisconsin is the most segregated, and we're the most segregated state in America, which is people don't believe, but it's true. We also have the poorest zip code in America. We also have a lot of racial issues.
And then just to add to that for myself, like, I think for me, like, I got to go to my first protest like 2 weeks ago, or a week ago actually, on Saturday. And to actually see, like Murph said, because of the fact that we're so segregated, it is amazing to see, white people leaving their homes, to come protest and hold signs with you, when probably a month ago or a week ago, they wouldn't even, look at you in your direction, or, like you said, hold the door open for you, or, you know what I'm saying, or even, just willing to, stand by your side. It's crazy now, especially here. I think also too, like the rest of y'all, myself probably being younger than, majority of y'all on the channel right now. For me, basically really just educating and, just being wide-eyed and being optimistic about what's going on, and keeping an open mind about what's going on. But that's I mean, for my take on what's going on, at least here.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, with that said, I'm gonna shoot this out to Anson just to elaborate a little bit. When you say it's different seeing Caucasian people now finally speaking up, what has that looked like in your area? How is that just strictly protesting? Are you seeing signs? What are they doing to show solidarity and that they are finally paying attention?
well, for example, for me, my neighborhood where I live is primarily Caucasian. And before, I mean, you got a black family, or whenever a black family would move in, you really didn't get any hellos. You didn't get the customary welcome basket, nothing like that. You might get the customary phone call to the police to turn down the music. That's about it. So to see at least, neighbors asking, are you okay? Making sure that you're okay, or, asking. Now they haven't invited you in the house, but they're still asking. Seeing signs up that, that are talking about Black Lives Matter. It's very different to see. Again, saying, coming from an area that's primarily Caucasian, of the makeup. but like I said, you take the good with the bad. They're trying to some degree, but sometimes you sit there and wonder what the actual motive is
Right.
behind it. So,
Ashley, how's it looked in your area? How's it looked down there in Texas? Because y'all have a great, strong Confederate history that they are very much proud of.
Very rich history. It's been very interesting to the point where the Caucasian people here, the ones I know that I'm actually cordial with, they've asked questions, as far as like, hey, how are you doing? Like, how are things going? Which I was very surprised by, because any other time it was never, hey, how you doing? In the part of Round Rock that I live in, Round Rock is considered a very, very racist city. The county itself, they have a saying here, don't go to Williamson County because you're basically going to end up in jail. So to actually see Caucasian people that I know actually like concerned and trying to figure out like, hey, are you really okay? But it's kind of interesting because I have primarily white neighbors. They haven't said anything. I see them. They haven't said anything. They don't go out of their way to do anything. So it's just been very interesting. Like the climate here is like, I guess it's really not that big of a deal because I guess living here, I was always like, well, it's a racist city anyways, the county, like we've always been, kind of shied away, like we're not just gonna deal with them. So it's not any different. Like I haven't seen anything different from 2 weeks ago or a week ago that would have happened. They've been protesting every night. So like sometimes when I go places or whatever, like I'll see them out there on the street protesting with their signs. And it makes me wonder, like, it took something this impactful to happen for you to do that. It should have never taken that. So like Anson was saying, like, what are your motives? Like, what's the intentions? Is it because you just want to feel like you're a good person for the moment? And then when everything is over 2 weeks later, you're going to be back to doing whatever it is that you do. So it's been very interesting to see it.
And can I elaborate off that? Like, I definitely agree. Like, I want to know, like, what is the motive and the plan behind, white people's scheme of, wanting to be involved in such a, a world-changing, thing going on, especially with Black people. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have, it's hard for them. Like I was telling some of the fellas, like, it's hard for people to kind of stand in their own mess when you kind of point, put something right in front of them. And, it's people in that situation like to deflect and find ways to kind of feel like they're not in the wrong, or understanding where they went wrong, or understanding their history and patterns, because, in a way of being deflective can not only, we're not solving an issue, just being deflective is only, like directing the energy in a different way, in a wrong way. And I think until we understand as Black people what white people want to get out of our situation, we need to understand what we need to get, as what we need as a whole. On that end.
If I can elaborate a little bit, I think that to everybody's point about how white people have not gave us like the time of attention before this tragedy has happened, I'm hoping that this is not some sort of trend. With that being said, like I just hope that white people are not using Ahmaud Arbery's murder, George Floyd's murder, as a trend because it's popular and it's in the now, and because of, again, white people love our culture. They like to at least think that they understand what we're going through or how we're going through. I think that can be misinterpreted to them understanding what it feels like to be Black or what we need. And that's why I feel like, especially when it comes to like politics and things of that nature, that's why you see more of them in those positions, because they are trying to tell us what to do, how we feel, how to navigate through certain situations. And I think that now it took this, and mind you, I want this to be clear too. We're not just fighting for just George Floyd. Like I see on the headlines in CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, elaborating, talking about, the tragedy of George Floyd. we've been saying this for years. We said this back in 2012 with Trayvon Martin. We said this with Philando Castile. We said it to a number of amount of people or a number amount of situations for this to escalate to this. Again, I just want this to be noted that we've been saying the same stuff for years. I don't know why it took all the way for this to be escalated into what it is now, but it has not been something new, at least from my position.
May I ask you this? Agree. Oh, you can go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying I would agree. You know, being in Southern California, people come out here for music and movies. So my biggest concern was that it wasn't something for clout or another hashtag. We've had numerous news sites, and I think TMZ even picked up influencers, white influencers that went out to the protest just for photo ops.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I do remember.
And I'm tired, and I think I'm tired just of the like white stream media benefiting from our tragedies and trying to make. I mean, I'm just saying they benefit and they make money through our disparities, through our tragedies, and I'm tired of them benefiting it and making it into a platform or making it into a certain platform to then again tell us how to navigate how we feel. And then also, I think that again, we all know that white America exists, that this is a white man's country. However, though, I'm not, with all the protests and the rising, even though I am thankful for the white people that are out there putting their well-being at risk, it's not even equivalent to how to navigate through being Black in America.
Yeah.
That's just my perspective.
I definitely agree. I think with, you know, how the news pictures us and puts us out there, especially like when we fall and have mistakes. Like look at some of like our major like what's somebody.
Well, before we get into that, I just want to put some respect on Erica's name. I wasn't able to put the proper respect on your name, and I do apologize for that. But for the people who did not hear it, as I said earlier, Erica is a proud alum of HBCU, Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. She graduated with a master's in intercollegiate athletic leadership administration, and she got that at the University of Washington in Seattle. During her time in Seattle, she also engaged in a graduate opportunity for a minority advancement program, as well as served as an operations assistant for the Huskies football program. Huskies softball program, excuse me. I watched the football program, I do apologize. Also, real quick, she will be doing her own podcast. So be looking out for that. The name of it is What the Hell Are You Doing? I will be subscribing to it. She will have a co-host with that. We will give her a moment to go into detail about that shortly. But let's go ahead and get to the next question because he actually broached it a little bit. With that said, how do you guys feel about the current state of the leadership from the Black Lives Matter, your community leaders, and our communities as a whole?
Well, since I guess
you can start.
I'll start.
Are we talking about leadership within the Black community? Or are we talking about leadership from the president and on down?
Our communities. We know about that.
Oh, okay.
We won't touch on that. We ain't got the time or energy.
Okay.
We ain't got that.
That's a whole.
That's a whole. In November, be looking out. I'm gonna hit your email. We're gonna talk. Right now, we got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
now,
I just wanted to make sure.
I understand.
I think from what I see, at least me growing up here in Milwaukee, like who was it? Frank Nitty right now is kind of like one of those guys, major activists in our community right now. And coming up,
shout out Frank Nitty because you are doing good.
Yeah, shout out to Frank for sure. Frank Nitty. Y'all can follow him, follow his page, his personal page at Frank Nitty II on Facebook if y'all want to take a look at him and his work throughout our community. But just a little background on him for me. Growing up with him, I didn't necessarily know him growing up. I could never put the face with the name. All I knew growing up with him was that he was the guy that used to come to the gyms, be with the kids, show some positivity amongst the kids and stuff like that.
He's been doing this for a long time.
He's definitely been doing it a long time. But I think where I think we do fall short in our Black communities, how we get our information out and how we go about getting our information out. I think because right now we're in a generation of where young people are pushing, literally pushing Black culture right now. And I feel like you have so many young people that are in my age bracket or a little younger than me, that might not take information the right way, might not be as enlightened, might not be aware of what's going on, or might not understand certain situations. I feel like there has to be some kind of way we can Black people can positively get information out to people that are young, that are not necessarily as educated as the next Black child or the next Black person standing next to them. Because I feel like for me, a lot of things that went on in my neighborhood as far as activism and protests and a lot of stuff I didn't know about until, you know what I mean, as of recent, you know what I mean? Like a lot of killings and things in my neighborhoods and in my city, a lot of that stuff I didn't know or physically recognize until as of recent within these past couple months, because of, you know, I either didn't take the initiative to know, or necessarily I didn't have the support or the guidance in my neighborhoods or in my communities that I needed. Because I feel like there's a way of going about telling people how to do something. Like I feel like if you tell somebody, if I tell Murph, hey Murph, this is what's going on, and if he takes it a certain way, or if he might ask the question differently, and I take it as, you know, him not understanding or comprehending, then I get frustrated with him, and I not want to share the rest of that information with him because I feel like he's not obtaining it how I feel how he should be. And I think that in our Black culture, we get frustrated with how we share our information and being patient with people. And
FYI, he is my blood cousin. You know, this is my cousin. So what he said is absolutely true. A lot of times he feels strongly about something, and I might feel strongly about it too, but some of y'all may know my delivery can be taken a certain way because I don't fluff. So it rubs some people wrong. Some people be like, yo, you out of pocket, why are you so harsh? But it's my, you know, that's just how I am. And I be trying to share information, and a lot of folks is like, you ain't got to say it like that. Yeah. So that was just a little FYI, I'm sorry. But you can continue.
If I could intervene just a little bit on what you just said about how, like, you don't really fluff around, like you don't walk on eggshells, you kind of say it straight. I think sometimes, like, I think in order to grow, you have to be open to things that you don't want to hear. And so therefore, sometimes you can deliver a message and it can come off as harsh or whatnot, but if there's some truth to it, I don't think there's much to apologize about if it's truth and if it's coming from a good space. So I think also within our community, sometimes we need to tell each other what it's like straight up without any fluff, because with fluff, you can misconstrue things easily, and then there's so many different things, and then it just becomes a bunch of bullshit. So I just wanted to.
No, and I agree. I think fluffing, to an extent, if that's the term we're going to use, fluffing or making it like, I definitely think there is some kind of straightforwardness you need to be able to, you know, deliver a message properly to someone. I'm just going kind of based off my experience and, you know, seeing how kids and stuff grew up around here, because I'm one of those people. I like to share information when I hear good things going on. You know what I mean? When I have people that do reach back to me, I do like to share that information. And, you know, when I share with kids that are younger than me, or I share with people that are around my age group, they don't receive the message even from me, someone in their peer, the same way. So even, you know, maybe being stern sometimes or being direct sometimes isn't even the way. Maybe it's a sitting down. Maybe it's a, you know, let's break down some information about what's going on in our community. You know what I mean? Let's take time to show the young folks and, you know, what's really going on, what's really happening, because the news don't really do it for us. Like,
let's take a second and hear from one of the A's on the other side of the screen. How y'all feel about the way we deliver this information and how we're receiving it?
So I'll chime in. So I think with the way information is delivered, it plays a lot as far as like the delivery goes. And a lot of us, unfortunately, we're raised as to be silent, like basically be seen, not heard. And so sometimes it's very hard to break out of that as an adult. You kind of hold on to it as an adult, especially if you decide to go into corporate America. A lot of it is be seen, not heard. Things like that can result in you becoming the angry Black man, the angry Black woman, when you do decide to speak up. So we have a personal responsibility. While some of us as adults are being older, we still struggle with it. We have a personal responsibility to our youth, the younger generation, to try to empower them so they can speak up for themselves, because times are not the same as they used to be. So a lot of it is getting out of that mentality.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I would say just as a people as a whole, young people are very much open to receiving the information. But what is that source? I mean, for us, you can look on TV, you may see one or two Black people highlighted by the news or by the media about what's going on, but who do you hear? Who is it a big deal that's protesting? You see Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead. You see Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
You know, so I think as a people, we need to do a better job teaching our youth to listen from within than to seek outside. You know, it's kind of like Black History Month. We get a month for history,
And
for our history, and the shortest month. But we built this nation, right? So who can tell us about us? Why are we seeking these media outlets? Why are we seeking CNN or Fox News to tell us about it?
Yeah, and I think that plays back to the question: who are we trusting to give us this information? Who are we trusting as the leaders in our local community, as well as our community on a national level? Who are we trusting? He brought up Frank Nitti. As I said, Frank Nitti has been in this area, in this community for decades. He is someone I personally trust to get information from in our area. But if I want to know about things that's happening in Atlanta, DC, Denver, LA, Phoenix, who am I to trust? Who can I go to and say, they are giving me truthful information and using their platform the correct way? And I ask this because a few days ago, T.I. and Killer Mike had a passionate back and forth about the direction of our community, right? I am more of the Killer Mike side. I am more of we need to reinvest in education. We need to reinvest in voting. We need to reinvest in the very foundations of our community. T.I. is more of if we stop giving them our money, we stop giving them our dollars, then they will listen to us. So like I said, back to the original question. Who are we trusting to receive this information from?
That's a good question. I would say, me personally, I'm looking to people that went through this already. So I'm looking to the our elders in the community. California, we have Maxine Waters, who, I'm looking to guidance from. I think that right now, with everything being instantaneous, a lot of us are looking, like you said, to celebrities and disseminating information from those celebrities. So that's a tough one. That's a good question.
Yeah,
I think also too, I know Charles Barkley used to say, I don't want to be a role model. And
we're gonna touch on that later, but
okay.
That's
all right. Well, I just feel like, because right now in our community, in Milwaukee, the Bucks play,
Yeah, and the Bucks were just protesting. Yeah. Like the whole Bucks team, the coaches, the training staff, every player, they were just protesting.
So that's my thing, So with that being said, being a Giannis or a LeBron or whoever the case may be, you are a Black figure in our community, in our country, and with your platform, you can be able to reach back. And I know you can't help everybody. I know, your dollars and your funding goes all into certain directions. But when are you going to take time to go to the small neighborhoods in cities like Milwaukee and Chicago.
Not somebody.
So to kind of like piggyback off of that, because I have just a little bit of like a difference of
my
opinion.
bad.
Now, difference of opinion. So the way I look at celebrities, right, is that they do have this platform, but at the same time, they're also private citizens like us.
Right.
While it'd be great that they use their platform to go, go ahead and promote Black Lives Matter, just the different things that are going on in their areas.
Right.
I don't feel like they have to, if that makes sense. Like they're not responsible for everybody else. I mean, it's great if they do it and they're vocal. It's like, yeah, go ahead and be vocal. This is what we need. But I don't think they should be made to feel bad.
Yeah.
Because they're not speaking up. Because I've seen posts where people are like, oh, this person over here didn't speak up and they should have spoken up. Basically, they named out a list of celebrities and they're like, none of them spoke up. And it was like, they may not necessarily have to be as vocal about it, but maybe they're doing other things relating to like different, bail funds, things like that. And so everybody has their own way of being vocal when it comes to different movements and different matters. So
that's definitely true. I would ask this. This was something we was going to touch on a little later. With that said, we might as well just ask it now. One of the questions was, did you believe, Black athletes and Black millionaires had an obligation? You are of the platform, no. Right, Ash?
Yeah.
I would ask you this. Do they owe an obligation to those millions of Black children that idolize them to be physically and vocal in their representation of them, right? Because ultimately, I feel like this. I've never met LeBron James a day in my life, right? But he is giving someone who will never see me an impression of me. And I think, and again, this is my personal feeling, it should better be a damn good impression. That's me. Because when you meet me, I'm trying to give you a damn good impression. So that's my ideals of it.
Yeah, so the way I look at it is because there's so many children, we'll just use LeBron James as an example. So there's so many children that look up for him. He's been very influential in the Black community. He established a school basically for Black children, giving them scholarships. So that basically like a head start. So that way they can get into different colleges, giving them an opportunity for things that would have not been an opportunity for them. So when I look at it, it's like, while I don't feel like they should have to, I think it would be nice if they did, because I don't ever want to tell somebody what they should have done or have these super high expectations of them. So for me, it's just like, I would like if you did that. I would like if you use your influence to be a role model to these children. So I'm kind of impartial to it.
I actually, like, with that being, like, so for me, I'm kind of the same as Murph. I think that if you're going to represent a certain view of us, you definitely should bring forth, I definitely think you should come forth and show that representation of who we are. I think being able to show unity as a whole, regardless if your pay grade is up here or down there, I think makes the nation shows the nation that, we're all here for this cause and we're all here to, come together and make this happen together. We've only shown that us being divided, obviously shows, us in fault and failing at stuff. So I just think that, being able to have people like a LeBron or Denzel Washington or, people in that kind of light to be able to step forth and come out in the communities and show that passion and show that care and that love to the people and to the world that, we are here, we're together, regardless of where I stand in my life and what's going on, because we all got obligations. I got an obligation. I got a whole girlfriend and kids and stuff at home, but I'm gonna make it, my obligation to come out here every single day or whatever I need to do to show a representation of my people, because I'm sure somebody out here that don't know me, but I guarantee if I get on this camera or whatever it is, I'm gonna make sure I represent myself in a way that I would want they would want me to represent them. You know what I mean? So I just feel like regardless of if you're a LeBron or Barack Obama, whoever it is, that I think it's necessary for you to say something or to do something, not necessarily needing a dollar. I can care less about a dollar, but your voice and your face is everything. Especially in a time right now, which, you know, whatever little help we can get is worth it to me.
But do you think celebrities feel like they have to? Because there's so many that have not spoken out. So do you think they kind of put it on the back burner? They're kind of like, you know, we already have these other people that are speaking up. I don't need to do anything.
I think
I'm gonna say this, and this is again my personal opinion. I feel like there's a lot of them who have not spoken don't want to speak because they're not going to speak in a manner that is going to show themselves in a good light, right? Like Tiger Woods just issued a statement the other day. I don't know if y'all heard this statement, but it was, let's just say it ain't worth repeating, okay? You know, so a lot of them haven't issued statements because they don't really align with us. However, they want our dollar, right? And this goes back to Michael Jordan for a long time would not make a statement because he wanted the dollar, you know what I mean? And he said it so. Republicans buy shoes too, which is very much a true statement. But in the end, he didn't want anything to affect their bottom line. You know, Seth Rogen came out and was very blatant with his Black Lives Matter, right? And he's not black. But also, he has also said, I make movies for everyone. That means black people too. I want black people to come and laugh at my movies just like I want white people to come and laugh at my movies. Right. You know, so it's like he understands some people might not watch his movies now, but he's okay with losing that dollar to show that unity.
I get that, but I think we're just more so talking about like us, like black famous people and us being unified. I think that, you know, regardless, and I can applaud, you know, Seth Rogen. We appreciate that sentiment, but at the end of the day, if it's not a black face doing it for me, you know what I mean? It's like it's like if, like you said, like if LeBron or somebody out here go and represent us, like, yeah, it's cool. Seth Rogen did it. Yay, thank you, appreciate it. But at the same time, you're not me. You don't look like me. You don't share that same grief and compassion that I share. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, like how we feel about the all lives matter stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not me. You're not us.
Well, before I take it to the next question, Anson, you got a word?
Yeah. This is me personally. I think that if you reap the benefits of the struggle, then you have to say something. You know, if within our communities, I think we blatantly support LeBron, whether you like him on the court, you like him off the court, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So for him reaping the benefits of what the black community, our support from the black community towards him, I think that he personally should say something, and I think that every black celebrity should. This is not a time right now. This is not an issue of what color car to buy. This is not an issue of should you be a vegan. This is a life or death issue for black people. We've been struggling forever. If our ancestors, if the people that came before us didn't say anything and didn't take that chance before, knowingly that they would lose their lives, their family, everything, just to push us forward, then we're no better if we just sit there and not say anything. LeBron, I mean, celebrities, they got the money. They have the support. We're gonna support. I mean, again, personally, I'm not a big fan of Tyler Perry movies, but I guarantee you I'm gonna watch a Tyler Perry movie just because he's black, right?
Right.
I think most of us have seen him just because he's black, so we're gonna watch it. And I think it's the same thing that should be for this. It's no difference. You getting the black dollar, you say something.
Right. And that's essentially where I am with it. If you benefit financially from us, and I actually said this to a family member the other day, if you cannot sit with the community in times of struggle and distress, you should not be able to enjoy the community in times of Jubilee. And that's honestly how I feel about it. If you sitting at home, if you have more than $100 million in the bank, $20 million, if you have more than $5 million in the bank, and you are African American, and you are sitting at home in your cushy, nice little house on your nice, soft, ultra plush furniture, eating your bullshit meal that you paid an absorbent amount of money for, and you are not saying anything because you want to keep this lifestyle. For me, don't come out when the world open back up and go to that black salon. Now you want to be, oh, hey, sister girl. Nah, don't hey, sister girl, nobody. Right. Don't come talking about, oh, I heard y'all make the best ribs in the city. Well, people at the cookout got them for free. Now you got to come, so that's me. So, I mean, they definitely they're not obligated. They are not obligated. No one's obligated to do anything they don't want to do. Right. But at the end of the day, personally, for me, they should be. And if you're not, to me, that is telling a lie. I understand.
To me, I think that you are obligated, though. To me, I think that you are obligated, though. It's just like, for example, George Floyd. You're obligated to say something. Those people that were actually there, obligated to say something. Whether it was obligated to, if they had just walked by and not pulled out a cell phone, but we would have never known about George Floyd. We would have never known. There's an obligation that we have as a people, as Black people, to protect our own. And I think it's the same thing for the celebrities.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, because white people definitely gonna do it for theirs, man.
Ash, you want to add a word?
I'm sorry?
Want to add a word?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Okay, well, we're gonna segue to this. What changes would you like to see in your local residency, your local area of residency? As far as
so for Austin, okay. So recently with the protests, they had some like really severe injuries that happened, and there were just things that went wrong that should have never happened because it was a peaceful protest. Went wrong, should have never happened. So the way I look at it, and like I said, Austin has a very rich history of being racist, to the point where when they built Austin, they literally put a highway down the middle of Austin to keep the Black people on one side and the white people on another side. Wow. It's still like that.
That's us.
35, it runs right through.
35th Street, Viaduct.
Yeah.
So
the way that I look at it is, I honestly think the police department needs to be dismantled. APD, terrible. They need to basically clean from the ground up, just because there's so much corruption, so much going on within APD. They recently hired a new police chief, and ever since he basically has moved into his position, there just been so many issues with, Black folks getting pulled over for no reason, erroneously, basically the typical things that happen. Mm-hmm. A lot of corruption, things like that. So the way I look at it is like, they just need to go in and just honestly like rehire like everybody, because they have a lot of behavioral issues. That, like, I was doing some research, a lot of APD, like the officers have behavioral issues. And so like, if they have behavioral issues, they should not be in a place to police anybody. And so that's like the main thing for Austin, I think, that needs to happen, is they need some sort of like reform, or they need to do something, just because we can't keep going this way. And it's so funny when people come here, they're like, oh, it's the most liberal city, we love Austin. And it's like, okay, you love Austin, and but you don't know all the history that comes with Austin. You don't know what you're going to be exposed to. So like, all the Black people in Austin, we're not even really in Austin anymore because we've been pushed out to the suburbs or the surrounding areas. So a lot of time when people come here, they're just in love with the image of Austin, and they just don't understand all the issues that come along with loving Austin, as they say. So Austin has a lot of work to do, but Our Austin Justice Coalition team or department, they're really good about speaking up for Black matters, organizing protests, and just making sure that as Black people that we're still connected, even though we're spread out. So basically just trying to bring us all in and bring us back together, because we have a very small Black population in Austin. Dallas and Houston actually have the larger populations. People leave Austin to go to those places. And so we have a very small population. So when they do create events and things like that to try to bring us back together, it's normally like a really big thing. So there just needs to be a lot of reform overall.
And Son?
Ooh, where do I begin?
You is in Southern Cal.
There's a couple things. So as Black people, I mean, a couple years back, the big thing was World Star, right?
Yeah.
What we need to do is continue to pull out those cameras, especially right now. A lot of, and at least in my neighborhood, you see a lot of tagging says BLM, Black Lives Matter. Black people are getting blamed for destroying the property when it's been shown that it's not actually us doing those things.
Right.
So that's one thing. The other thing is, do you guys play video games?
Yeah.
Yeah. So whenever you're playing like a first-person shooter, there's always like a game, Capture the Flag.
Yeah.
Right. That's what we should be doing with us as Black people. So we maintain our neighborhoods, and white people gentrify. I think Black people should infiltrate. We need to move into their neighborhoods and force change. My big thing is what I tell my people is make them listen. I purposely moved into a predominantly white neighborhood, not for the safety issue, but I'll be damned if they don't see me. You know what I mean? If I'm the only Black person that they see, that's what they gonna see. They gonna see me. They gonna know who I am, but whether it be by the color of my skin, by the music that I play, by the food that I cook, they gonna see me. And I think that as Black people, you know, we tend to stay in our neighborhoods, and I get it. I understand we need to do that. We need to maintain, but we also need to force this change. Yeah. We shouldn't be sitting there thinking, okay, we're stuck on this side of the railroad tracks. Move into there. You know, in California, children can go to school wherever their parents work, live, or worship. So if their parents are living or working in a predominantly white area, you know, you got to force your kids to do it too. You got to force your kids to understand why they're doing it, why they're going to school, mostly white people. Because I don't want any more excuses from white people that, well, I have a Black friend, I don't know Black people, I don't interact with Black people. No, we got to force them to interact with us.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
I'm gonna elaborate off of what you said, Anson, because I definitely think, you know, moving into more predominantly white areas is definitely, you know, we should definitely force ourselves into their neighborhoods and forcing that change, because the only way to get change unless we do it ourselves, unless we actually go out there and do it. Because right now I actually stay in a predominant, you know, white area. I stay in an area called Brown Deer in Milwaukee, and I know like how you say, it don't matter, you know, what I'm doing. I'm riding down the street, you're gonna hear my music. I'm taking my trash out. I might have my basketball shorts on, no shirt, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? But you gonna know I'm there. You're gonna understand that I am a Black man. My family is Black, and we do Black things, and we have people come over. You know what I'm saying? We do that stuff because that's who we are. We need to make white people understand who we are and where we stand as people, because if we don't, they're going to keep forcing themselves into our neighborhoods. Look how they do. They build all these giganto condos. They move all our people out of our neighborhoods. And now we have overpriced and overpopulated areas. Because now low income housing is pushed in only specific parts of the city. Now you got Black people living right on top of Black people again, when, you know, you probably already got, you know, somebody auntie, cousin, and whatever else living with you. On top of that, now the rent and whatever else in that area they didn't regentrified or whatever it is has went up. cost of food, whatever is in that area. The stores aren't even the same anymore. You know, it's all different. And they're willing to force ourselves in our neighborhoods, and we got to be able to do that ourselves too. And I'm gonna actually have Hev chime in on this too, because I think, you know, you have definitely a bigger view on what's going on in our community, because he's the oldest out of all of us.
Step together. So they can see me from here. I'm looking at it over there. They can see.
Okay.
I'm the guy that's been smoking in the back the whole time. Not just living here in Wisconsin, but when I lived in Alabama, I lived in the suburbs where there were only 4 Black families in our entire neighborhood. And, you know, the kids got bullied at school and all of that. And it's always been going on. But really right now in the city of Milwaukee, they're on fire with the rest of the world. The movement is strong. And like Barack Obama said, it's definitely a young man's fight. And the young men are doing me more than proud. To touch on what you spoke on earlier, as far as the people that we see as celebrities having a voice, they have a platform that they've earned, not necessarily based on where they come from, but in spite of where they come from. So I don't think that we should feel like they're obligated to speak. I think they should feel like they're obligated to speak. They should already have that feeling in their heart. One of the most surprising people that I saw promoting Black Lives Matter, and he stripped everything down and got out there with the people on a freaking bicycle of all things, was Lil Baby. Lil Baby took all his gold off, all his chains on, put on a Black Lives Matter t-shirt, some Nike shorts, and got on a regular bike and rode around the city with the people and protested. He didn't bring a camera crew. He didn't bring an entourage. He got on his bike and he went and did what he thought was right. Yeah. And you see that attitude rippling through the young people, and the people that they look up to are definitely leading them on the charge. You spoke about LeBron earlier, and I think that was very good too, because LeBron is really right now probably one of the best civil rights leaders that we have as a Black community. They're waiting for him to shut up, and he's laughing at them because he's not going to. And he understands that he has one of the biggest voices in the world, but the people that look like him are the most persecuted. So he almost feels like, how dare you to wait for me to be quiet? Like, it's not gonna happen. Yeah. So the city definitely echoes the sentiments around the country, and people are trying to figure out how to do it right. And I would say listen to the people that are leading the charge right now. Killer Mike probably has one of the best voices going for what we're trying to do right now. If you want to loot, but be strategic. The people that need to pay are the ones that need to pay. We don't need to be looting our own places. If you want to riot, that's fine. That's the same thing that you do when you get revolution. Back in 1964, when they rioted and marched for the Civil Rights Movement in 1965, they CC'd all the other different races on that bill. Everybody can come to America now. We all can be here. It's truly the land of the free. You can be an immigrant from wherever now. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it took them 6 days of pride and protesting for that to happen. Yeah. That's a little bit before my time, but I still remember it like it was yesterday, because it was so big that they had to teach it in schools. Yeah. So yeah, the only thing I can say is don't let up. Yeah. Don't let up. The pressure has to stay on. They're waiting for everybody to go back to talking about BS. Yeah. Yeah. They can't wait for us to get bored.
And you know, like once again, to just kind of jump off that, like it all has to do with us, you know, putting ourselves in the right position and moving into these areas and putting ourselves into these business places where they work as well. You know what I'm saying? Making sure, like how Killer Mike was saying, making sure we properly vote, making sure we put people in certain positions where, you know, we have Black people of power, where we can have them, you know, uplifting a person, another Black person that is coming from the bottom. And, you know, I think, I just think, you know, it's just coming down, it all comes down to unity and showing some kind of, you know, camaraderie and showing some type of compassion and showing the next person that stands next to you and that looks like you that you're not going through this fight by yourself. Because, you know, we definitely as a Black community have an issue with, you know, stepping aside when we see another person looking like us struggle. You know, and for me, I'm not that type of person. I don't care if the man standing outside the store asking for a couple of dollars outside the store. I don't know what that man could be going through. And he looked like me, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna throw him that dollar. he might go get that beer or whatever it is he asking for. He probably really won't, but at the end of the day, I don't know what that black man going through. But if I can help him and uplift him and bring him, some kind of a bright spot that day, I'm gonna do that, because you know what I'm saying. We have to be able to do that as a community. We have to be able to do that as a whole. We have to be like people as a nation, as a one. We have to be able to show that.
I think a lot of it, just to piggyback off what you said, a lot of it is about, or it will happen, is that black people, some of us are uncomfortable. Basically, trying to move into these other white neighborhoods, trying to infiltrate corporate America or whatever it is, because everything is predominantly white. But I think it's needed for us to feel uncomfortable, to know that, don't give up, keep pressure on them. Don't move to the side. Like me personally, I love to see Black young women in leadership. That's my thing. If I can help you get into leadership, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm never going to abandon anybody, because I know how hard it was to get there. I didn't have anybody to look up to. So it's like, if I could be an influence for the next person, then that's what I'm going to do.
Right.
So we basically are each other's keepers, and we need to realize that. And I think some people don't realize that they are. And so they're not prepared to be uncomfortable when it comes to trying to move into these different areas and trying to move forward.
Right. I do agree with that. I just want to read something that I looked up today. So the 10 richest Americans are all white. Our U.S. Congress is currently 90% white. Our U.S. governors are currently 90% white. Our top military advisors, all of them are white.
So overall,
let me see. The president and vice president are both white, as we know. The U.S. House Freedom Caucus is 99% white. The U.S. presidential cabinet is 91% white. People who decide which TV shows we see, 93% white. People who describe which books we read, 90% white. People who decide which news is covered, 85% white.
So I just want to, like, with all that being said, like, I think with,
it's a long list.
Yeah, and I think with creating, like how you said, creating opportunity, we have to be able to create opportunity. Yes. with what we have. I think that even small business owners, whatever the little opportunity, Black business owners, whatever the opportunity that you do have amongst your business and in your business, that you should try to incorporate your community the best way you can, because at the end of the day, we have to be able to feed our own. Yep. And it's cool to be able to help Jimmy and Billy get a job and whatever the case may be, but Daquan over there, he probably just getting out of high school, ain't got no college, nothing going on, but somebody out here with a boutique or a jewelry store or something could probably hire Daquan to come clean, whatever it could be. You know what I mean? Whatever it could be. Like right now with BudTawk, like, my goal is to be able to have, teaching where we can sit Black folks down, and be able to help them understand what the marijuana industry holds, what we can do with this industry, and how we can make it grow, and how we can make it work for us. Because at the end of the day, this is $1 billion industry. This is something that we can take, that the feds, nobody has their hands on yet. The money is all tax-free. We control our product. We control the grow. We control how we sell. We control every aspect of it. It's an industry that really hasn't been fully tapped in yet, and it has so many different possibilities. And I eventually want to be able to say, hey, Daquan, come learn with me, bro. Come sit with me and come understand what this plant can do for you. Yeah, it can get you high, and it can put you in a different state of mind. But if you take that state of mind, you take what you just did with that plant, and you put that into some use, you put that into those books, you go into Google, whatever it is, you search in your craft, whatever it could possibly be, to understand this industry and help you create an opportunity for yourself and the people around you.
With that said, I just want to piggyback that off into our next question, was actually, how do we influence, that aid we want in our local areas into a federal level? How do we continue to help, just not that local man, like he said, at the corner store that's asking for $1 because he's hungry, but also that friend that we know that's, you know, Ash is in Texas and Son is in California. I want to support y'all business just like I hope y'all support mine. How do we go about doing that? What is our platforms we can go about doing that, and how should that look like, and what should that look like?
That's a really good question. I hadn't thought about that, to be honest. Like, it's a really good question.
I think everything, for one, we got to work on communication. I think once we figure out a line of communication where it's available for everyone that looks like us and directly can get to them, then that starts the first step. But I think that we have to make stuff more available. We have to be more out. We have to take those uncomfortable situations we are in when we're out in public with our friends or other Black folks that don't look or that look like us and we don't know them. We have to be able to be more vocal and be like, hey, I got this going on. We have to be, because like we can't depend on the news. We can't depend on the news. We can't necessarily depend on social media because everything can be cropped and whatever else. But we have right now, I think our best tool is word of mouth. Our best tool is being able to show with our actions, because monkey see, monkey do. I mean,
it ain't the best expression, but it's kind of true.
But I mean, monkey see, monkey
I
do.
hate to say it. It's not the best
But
expression.
I mean, look at our government, look at our history. People look at China. They try to follow us in what we do and what the U.S. has tried to do. You know what I mean? Like, monkey see, monkey do, really. You know what I mean? Like, if we can put in a structure in some kind of form of where, you know, we have a person in our community, like here in Milwaukee, like a Frank Nitty, where he can be more out front and open with what's going on and how he communicates amongst his people, then there might be more people in our communities around our cities that might not know him, want to tag along, want to know more, want to figure out what it is that he's doing or has going on around the community. That's how we draw people in, because now we see what he's doing, but how can we get involved? And that's and once we create that line of communication, and I think kind of get a little out of that uncomfortableness of our kind of, I think, in a way of being afraid of our skin and looking at someone that looks like you. I think it is. It's like, I think we have like our own stipulation of, you know, the next Black person and how they act and how they might react to you because of your past experiences, the things you've been through. Not necessarily like help me out, bro. Like,
I just think that's a very good point. I just think the word of mouth and not being afraid of our skin tone. I think those was two terms that I would definitely take away from that. I cannot be afraid to tell another person that looks like me something I feel is important and something I feel will help them and advance them to anywhere they want to go in life. I cannot. Excuse me?
So do you think that goes back to like an obligation? So like the communication part is key, right?
Right.
So it's like mentoring should be a big thing. Like, I don't see a lot of mentoring in the Black community.
Yeah. That's definitely something we can do on that.
Mentoring is big. And I think a lot of it too is something that I personally have seen is that a lot of people feel like if they have another Black person at the same level as them, that there's a competition.
It's always competition.
We're all trying to get to the same place. So I think that's where mentoring falls by the wayside, and really it comes with the reprogramming. We have to program ourselves to understand that we're not in competition with anybody else, especially somebody that's within our own, that's our own. If anything, we're trying to better our community, and not a lot of people see that bigger picture. They don't understand that. They look at it as like Sinclair, like they look at it as like, oh, like he knows what I know. Okay, we're automatically in competition. No, like I'm your keeper, you're my keeper. Like we piggyback off each other, we learn from each other, so that way we can take it and we can move forward with it. But a lot of people don't have that same mindset. So I think that's where like we come in, and we have to be able to put those mentoring programs and those different initiatives together, so that way we can help those that look like us, instead of waiting on people who don't look like us to give us the opportunity.
Yeah, I think that number one, we need to be unapologetically Black. I think that a lot of times, I mean, you know, if you like Cheryl's fish fry and that's what you like to eat and it's good food, eat it. Just because your wife want to go to, just because your friends want to go to McDonald's, don't mean you need to go to McDonald's. You know what I mean? If you like it, support it. Number two, I think that we need to change that narrative about Black business. I mean, if you were just to survey Black people, you would say, oh, I like them, but it's overpriced, or oh, their service isn't as good. Is it really, or is it what we already have in our head is what it is? I mean, you got people that'll say, okay, I'm selling this T-shirt and it's $25, no name black owned brand. We ain't gonna shell that $25 out for that, but we'll sure spend $200, $300 on some Yeezys going to Adidas, right? We'll buy them Nikes up, we'll buy Gucci, but we won't spend that extra money on the Black community. There has to be a start, and we have to take that initiative to do it. The other thing is, I mean, there's a couple of apps you can use, and you can just put Black-owned businesses on Google Play or on the Apple Store, and it'll bring up apps that'll show you specifically Black-owned businesses that you can either shop online or locally. And we need to put more into it. If you have that, don't be afraid to promote your friend. That's another thing. We, like you guys were saying, being in competition with each other. Sinclair, you had said you had promoted Erica's podcast at the top of this podcast. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. It's not like you trying to hide her stuff because you think, oh, okay, she gonna take my subscribers away because they gonna listen to her. No, it's we can all listen to everybody. You know what I mean? Right. Especially now, we all stuck at home. We can listen to everything. We can listen to everything right now. So that's just how I feel. I think that getting back to the basics, be unapologetically Black. You like to eat watermelon, eat watermelon. If you like fried chicken from a local store, you eat the fried chicken from the locals. Don't be scared. Don't be scared of doing it. I just think that we're so caught up in, it's been so ingrained in us, that white sense of beauty, that white sense of ownership, that white sense of, oh, you made it when you have this, that we're all struggling to get there when we already have it, because they over here mimicking us. Right. So we just buying a white owned version of our stuff. Right. Buy Black.
Right. Because Cracker Barrel, that's all that is. That's my grandma all over again.
That's something y'all know. 3 restaurants that pretty much all of the Black community should no longer be supporting is Taco Bell, Wendy's, and Pizza Hut. All 3 of those contributed $400 million or more combined to Trump's campaign last year.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry, 400 million?
Yeah, combined, all 3 of them together, about $400 million towards his campaign.
Wow.
So that's Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, and Wendy's. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna miss the Baconator, but they can have that shit.
Yeah, they can definitely keep that shit.
We have local in California. We have a local bartender. She makes drinks that's mobile, called Lady on the Rocks. You can find her on Instagram, but that's another one. Her drinks, you would think, some people would say are priced higher, but the quality is there, and it's a Black-owned business. I'm willing to shell my dollars out to them, knowing that it's going right back to the community, knowing where her heart is, than rather than give it away.
My favorite 3 restaurants in the city is all Black-owned.
You seen my
I was eating jerk chicken before we started. It's Black-owned.
Yeah.
My favorite restaurants here in Austin are all Black-owned. We have I go every Friday, never fails. Don't judge me. It's called Paradise on Ice. Paradise on Ice. You can get margaritas, daiquiris on the go, or whatever it is. You pick it up. We have the Rolling Rooster. It's a chicken place. We have a Black-owned barbecue spot that everybody goes to, Fowler's Barbecue. And those are the places
New York City. I didn't know they was Black-owned.
Huh?
I didn't know they was Black-owned. I've been to Dallas's barbecue.
To which one?
I've been to the one in New York.
To Fowler's Barbecue?
Yeah.
It may be a different one. Like this one is a newer one, but it's in Austin.
Oh, okay. Because I went to a Dallas barbecue in Harlem.
Oh, you said Dallas? No, it's called Fowler's.
Oh, see, that's your accent. That's that country accent. I'm sorry. My bad.
But no, like I'm willing to, not even willing, like I'll drive, 30 minutes out or whatever it is just to go support a Black business. We have to. Who else is going to?
So I can see everybody.
Oh, my bad. But for those who don't know, Erica just popped back in. She had to step away for a brief minute. During that time, she did not see the promotion of her podcast again by Amazon, but it happened. When you watch this on YouTube, it's there twice. But just so you know where we are, we were discussing ways in which we can see change on the national level within the Black community. And a couple things that were mentioned was we cannot be afraid of our own skin. We have to be able to support Black-owned businesses and reinvest in our communities. And we have to, can't be afraid to use our mouth and just talk to each other.
No, I definitely agree. I mean, to say that we can't be afraid of our own skin, I think that's a powerful message, because the thing about it is we're portrayed as what other people want us to portray us as, and I'm not sure if that can translate to internal fear of our own doings. And I think sometimes what white America has instilled into the Black community is that we are supposed to not be successful. We are not supposed to be entrepreneurs. We only make up 13% of the United States. So for them to install that fear upon us as if we're already not worthy because we already have put you in your place 400 years ago when we made you guys slaves, 50 some odd years when we only said that you guys were 3/5 of a human, right. Things of that nature. I think that sometimes in certain parts of our community, we have this fear of being successful just because we know that the white man is right around the corner taking what was ours or willing to burn that stuff down like they did with the Black Wall Street. So with that message saying that we are afraid in our own skin, I think that's such a powerful statement. And for some reason that kind of like hit towards me, because sometimes I feel like, am I even supposed to be here? And I have to tell myself like, yes, you are supposed to be here, but just know that battle, nobody wants you there. But in that battle, it's going to be a lot tougher because they're going to put more obstacles in for you to fail so that they can justify the reason why they have let you go or why you cannot complete that. So.
All right. Well, let's go into the next one. This is going to hit home or differently for everybody. But what is one way, or what is some ways the Black men can do better in our community?
In regards to this issue, or as just like holistically in the Black community?
Holistically in the Black community. What are ways we can do better? Not only in, showing, while you were gone, we discussed educating the youth. We discussed being leaders in our community. We did a lot of that. So it's kind of in segue to from the previous conversation that you missed. I do apologize.
Okay. No, you're fine. I just want to make sure I'm on the right page.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So with that said, what do you think Black men can do better to aid our communities in their current state? Silence. Oh, crickets.
I want a Black man to answer first. I want a Black man to answer first. Okay. I'd rather have a Black man answer this first.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll start. I think Black men have to learn to love themselves. A lot of Black men never experienced love, and I don't mean that as in a boyfriend, girlfriend. I mean that as from their mother, from their father, from their siblings, from those who they came up with. Now, my parents has a lot of kids, but it's one thing I can always say about my family was, I woke up every morning knowing my mom and dad was there. I went to sleep every night knowing my mom and dad was there, right? Did they argue? Of course, you know. Did they have their disagreements? Yes, but I've never seen my dad call my mom out of name, right? I've never seen my dad put his hands on my mother in any form, unless it was an affectionate, you know what I'm saying, a form of affection. And they've been married 40 some odd years, right? I've seen my parents argue like cats and dogs, and then 5 minutes later be laughing at the dinner table. You know what I'm saying? And in turn, I saw how to treat a woman, right? I seen how my dad treated my 6 sisters. I seen him how he treated my mom, how he currently treats my grandmother. You know what I mean? How he treated his mom and siblings. That's a part of it. I think Black men have to get back to being Black men, meaning, you know, before segregation, Black men, we held down home, you know. The Black woman wasn't home. Yeah, you know, sometimes she went out to work, you know, if he got ill or he got sick, but 90% of the time it was the Black man holding down the home. He did not go out and bear children he could not afford. You know, he instilled something in his children. He instilled work, you know, a work ethic, you know, a sense of discipline, a sense of organization. You know, it was a sense of confidence and pride and having accomplished something. Black men need to get back to doing that. We have to get back to educating our youth. We have to get back to protecting our youth. We have to get back to protecting our women. We have to get back to loving our women. And I think once we do that, we will do so much better. But all of that starts at, first you have to learn how to love yourself. Yeah. You cannot love anyone else until you love yourself. And that means taking care of yourself, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Taking care of yourself, you know, everybody go through shit. You know, I have an autoimmune disease. I go through shit mentally and physically. But I know I have other Black men who I can call and say, bro, I'm not just feeling it today. You know, and they gonna say, well, you know, go out the band, what you wanna do? I'm finna swing, pick you up, or I'm gonna come chill over there, whatever. You know, when we end a phone call, me and everyone hit, when we end a phone call, we say love. You know, it's not saying that I love, you know, I'm not in love with you, but I love you. You know what I'm saying? I love you in the sense that I don't want nothing to happen to you. I want you to have, right, I appreciate you. I appreciate who you are as a person. I respect you as a person. You know, I want you to do well. I want to see you happy and healthy.
Can I piggyback off that?
Yes.
So, like, piggyback off that, like, the whole love thing. I think that's another way of, like, Black men could definitely show, like, what we need to be in our communities, because the fact that we don't show a lot of love to the ones around us, we hold on to so many burdens and, you know, hardships and struggles and things like that, you know, going in our lives, and it makes us so hard, and it makes us so, you know, not wanting to be loved, because we go through all that stuff, man. And I think that, like Murph said, once you take the time to understand yourself, understand, you know, where you are mentally and things like that, being able to, you know, have a loved one that you can interact with and share these things with. I think also too, we have to be able to keep an open mind as Black men, because we're also stubborn and stuck in our ways, and we, you know, we could have a toe about to fall off, and we'd be like, you know, somebody be like, go to the doctor. You know, we're not gonna go to the doctor because we know at the end of the day, if we sew that joint back on, it's gonna be all right. We can keep moving. We can keep moving. But we have to take heed to, you know, those hearings and those callings. We have to take heed to the people that are trying to help us, regardless of if it's a toe falling off or, you know what I mean, it's something written down on paper. I think, you know, being optimistic and showing that love and compassion is definitely two things I think we should definitely work on it as Black men in our communities.
Can I ask a question to the group? I mean, and I know that the other question would be, how can Black women help with the Black community or do more for the Black community? But in some regards, have any of you guys felt oppressed by the Black community while being Black?
Yeah.
And if so, can you elaborate?
I think.
I'll say my opinion too. I want to hear everybody else's points of views on this.
I think for me, being oppressed by my own community was more so because me coming up as an athlete and coming up as a basketball player. I think, you know, looking at me because I'm 6'7", you know, you automatically assume I need to be go dribbling the ball in the NBA or something like that. And I think that, you know, if I'm not if another person that looks like me sees me walking down the street and that's not what I'm doing, then it's automatically like, oh, you're a waste of life. You're like, oh, you're a waste of whatever that your parents and God has given you, because you know what I mean. You should be up here. You should be doing. You know, I think as Black people, we take too much time as in looking in, you know, to somebody that we don't even know what's going on with them, and you know, we don't take the time to understand people. We put our own people in a box that they shouldn't be in. We make our own people feel uncomfortable in situations that they shouldn't be in because of how we view them and how like you said earlier, Erica, how the world helps us view us. Because, and I do, and I have played basketball growing up and stuff like that. But, you know, having family and having others and other loved ones also tell you that, you know, you shouldn't be playing basketball and you should be focused on something else other than basketball, and, you know, kind of just, you know, like I said, putting you in this box and not allowing you to evolve and not allowing you to go through life and figure out what it is that you need to do in your purpose. And so that that's more so for me though.
Me, I would say, you know, it started when I was younger. You just gotta let Black, just there's no set rules or set way to be Black. Don't explain to somebody what their Black is. I mean, you see my hair. people would I got made fun of when I got made fun of when I was a little kid, just for being different. You know what I'm saying? Like I grew up in California. I grew up in a predominantly white and Hispanic area. I skateboard. You know, I listen to Jay-Z, but I'd be lying if I didn't say I didn't know a couple Guns N' Roses songs, you know? So you can't tell somebody how to be Black.
I'm not saying.
But yeah, you can't tell somebody how to be Black. And I think that, you know, pushing the narrative, I mean, and I'm not saying that Black women only do it, because we do it to ourselves, but we push that narrative of not being the good dad, quote unquote, not being there. We need to show up in spaces where we need to be seen and heard in spaces that people don't expect. You know, if you have kids and your kids are in school, you know, don't send the mom to the parent teacher meeting. You go to the parent teacher meeting too. You show up. Let them know that your kid has a father. They can see it. You know, don't let, you know, if you don't get along with the mother of your children, don't let that stop you from being there for your kids. You know, don't let because you hear, you know, you have a felony, you can't do this. Like you were saying, just because you're height, people assume just because you're tall, you could be a tall doctor, you could be a tall lawyer. You know what I'm saying? A tall business owner. It doesn't matter. But we need to stop pushing that narrative. The community as a whole needs to stop pushing that narrative that there's a certain way to be Black. Like, I was very thankful when Festival Afropunk started popping up, because that was, you know, very blatant that there's a lot of different Blacks. You know, you could be light-skinned Black, dark-skinned Black, you could like punk rock, you could like hip hop, you might like country. You know, we had our a brother of ours go with number one song for how long? And he was black.
And it was
and he was black. So that's just, you know, I hope to see that, you know, if we can change that narrative, and just get the support, you know, from black women, and, you know, support from black men as well, internally as us. Because like I said, when that song was number one, the first thing that we heard was, "But he gay."
Right.
Not that he was black. Yeah. It wasn't relevant. It was one of us that was there pushing it. You mean you didn't hear that with Lil Richard? You didn't hear that with anybody else. We just need to do better.
Yeah, for sure.
Ash, would you like to go first?
Sure. So this is my comment is going to be for both Black men and Black women. So the way I look at it is something that we need to do better is know how much power we have in everything that we do. That is something that sometimes I see a lack of, and it goes back to how people were raised, and it goes back to there being people that don't, not so much not believe in them, but push that false narrative that they're destined to do this one thing and that's all they're ever going to do. So people have to realize that even though people try to put them in these specific boxes, that they have the power to do whatever it is that they want to do, to be whoever they want to be, whatever. And there's nothing that's predestined. And that's what sometimes people look at. They're like, oh, like I'm destined just to, you know, I don't know. We'll say like work at Target. I don't know. Work at Target. It's like, okay. It's like, well, why do you feel like that? Like, why do you think that you're not destined to do more? Like, why do you think you don't have this power to do more? You're the one at the end of the day that, you know, have say over what it is that you can do and how far you're going to push yourself. So I think that's a really big thing. And I've seen it personally. Like I've had friends and family, they're just like, I can't do it. And I'm like, why can't you do it?
Right.
I just can't, I don't believe in myself. Why don't you have other people here supporting you? We believe in you. Like, just do it. The worst thing you can do is not do it and regret it later on. So people just have to realize that as a community, the Black community, like we have to realize how much power we have and not let people that are white, because they will try to tell you, you know, you shouldn't do that, or, you know, you're not the right person to do that. They try to take that opportunity away from you, and you can't let people take things away from you and dim your power.
To pretty much sum up what every single one of you guys have said something that I have said the whole time. To going to, and I'm so sorry if I can't remember your name, but you said to the point of, you know, if you're 6'5", you're expected to be a basketball player, you're expected to be an athlete. And I think the thing about white America is they will tell us or put us in a box to make them benefit from our talents. You're 6'5", he's not 6'5", but I'm going to train you to become this basketball player or athlete that I want you to do, that I want you to be, so I can profit off of you. You might get paid a portion of certain a portion or a certain amount of money, but I'm going to enhance and own that. And same thing with to Ash's point, saying like you can't do this, you shouldn't do this. If we're talking about corporate America, if somebody has applied to be a director and they have the qualifications to be that director, because they don't want to see a person of color in that space, they might recommend them or say like, hey, we have a coordinator position, we have an assistant position, because I can't have you, in the back of their mind, I can't have you or a Black face represent this high space because this is be for white folks. So I think also, like I said, with the athletic system, especially for Black men, if you even look like you can play a sport, and anytime when a white person says that you should do this, that's them saying basically I can profit off of you while you not benefiting all the things that you need to benefit from. Because because the athletes in the NBA and the NFL, they getting paid millions of dollars, but these coaches, the commissioners, these general managers, they making a bunch more, and they're not even putting half of their life on the field or on the court as these men are. So my thing about it is, Right. And I mean, and to be honest, like I get it from a certain point, but I just feel like it's still a sense of slavery. And for me, I'm going to use you for whatever is going to be beneficial to me without me having to put in any type of effort or amount of effort that you're putting in for yourself. And if you get hurt and if you get injured, that's on you. And I don't like that. And I don't like that stigma. So I think to go to that question about how can Black men be better for their Black communities, I don't think I'm qualified to answer that because I'm not a Black male. But what I have experienced,
Erica, you breaking up?
I think that people need to stop putting Black men. Oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can everybody hear me? Hold on real quick. I'm sorry.
Okay.
She's stuck.
Yeah. Sorry, Erica. You have to. She's probably moving. Well, I think I missed out her question, but I'm pretty sure it was a good one. But I guess we'll just, because she's having technical difficulties now, we'll move on to the next question, which was, what could we?
Oh, she's back. I think. Yeah. Better get hers off.
Oops. Oh.
Yep, you're back.
You back?
Can y'all hear me now? I'm sorry.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh, did y'all go to the next point? Because we can
No,
complete
no,
what
we're
I was
letting you
about to
finish
say.
yours.
Oh, go ahead and finish.
Oh, I think that also there's a stigma like Black men, they can't show emotion or they can't be weak. Like they always have to be strong. They always have to do this. They always have to be the head of the household, or they have to always have this strong characteristic about themselves. So the moment that they show emotion, or the moment that they show that they care about something, and they have a justifiable reason for it, is looked upon them as weak. And I feel like that needs to be cleared in the Black community, as well as, or for Black men in Black community. And also I just feel like I would love for our Black men to show a lot more loving to our Black sisters. And I'm not saying that it's not happening. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but when I see, again, with these celebrities and these athletes, I see them wiping up white women or different women of color. But then when it comes to Black women, we're kind of pushed against to the side, and we're being told or being felt as if we're not good enough, as like our skin complexions or the way that we are as a Black woman, we can't benefit the Black man in these capacities. And so I just hope that with our Black men, they're able to show a little bit more loving, because at the end of the day, they came from a Black woman, at least most of the time. So I just feel like
Most of the time, all the time.
those are some two things. I mean, I'm just saying, I just feel like those are some two things. But I can't speak to the Black men experience. I'm not one.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any other points before we go to the next question? None? All right. Next question. What can Black women do better to aid our communities? I got a real simple answer for this, but I'm gonna let everybody go first.
So one thing that I know for a fact, and something that I see and it bothers me, is that Black women have a way of, I don't even know how to say it, but basically they have a way of taking Black men, or not even Black men, or I guess Black men and Black boys, and making them feel like they're responsible for everything. And it's like they're really not responsible for everything. Kind of what you said, Erica, basically putting that, not so much that it's a burden, but basically when it's a young Black boy, making them grown before their time, not letting them experience their childhood. That's something that needs to stop. Your child is not your man.
Yeah.
And I see that a lot, and it's very disturbing. It's very disturbing to me. Like, I don't have kids, but that's something that really needs to stop.
Somebody in the back.
With regards to Black men, I do see Black women sometimes where they're quick to put down some Black men because they don't fit whatever our standards are. But while we do, I say for the most part, uplift Black men, you're that very small percentage that they can't see any good in Black men whatsoever. And it's one of those things where it's like, maybe that was just your experience with one, but sometimes they take that experience and they apply it to all Black men, and not all Black men are made the same. And so I think that's something else that needs to change, just to give our brothers like a chance to show, pretty much to show like who they are and not try to put everybody in a bubble, because sometimes that's what happens. So those are just my two things.
I can say, I think the one thing that I think that Black women can do better in the Black community is sometimes we need to stop fighting each other. What has been in the media with these basketball wives, I'm loving hip hop and these reality shows, is that you see a lot of the time that Black women are put against another Black woman for a man, for a position, for money. And then all of a sudden it becomes like this you versus me. However, it should just be us. At the end of the day, Black women, we go through so many trials and tribulations and obstacles. Like, the last thing we need to do is to fight each other. And I'm not perfect either. Don't get me wrong. Like, I know, like, I have some things to work on myself too. However, I think that that's the one thing I see, that Black women, we are very quick to put each other down sometimes. Instead of a man, or sometimes even the white counterparts, and they are the reasons why we're fighting in the first place. All they did was just they stirred the pot. They just waiting for us to get inside of it. So I think for me, that's the number one thing I would say for, I think, what Black women we need to be better upon. Some other things, I just think that there's some other things that in the Black community as a whole that we need to do, but that's the only one I can think of when it comes to Black women, because that's the one that I see a whole lot.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that as well.
And Son?
I would say be seen, be heard, don't stop. Like, a lot of these movements were started by Black women. You take it back to the Me Too movement, that got swiped from the Black women.
Isn't it? Quickly.
And just, it got turned into this whole white thing. Speak up, speak up. Don't stop talking.
Right.
I mean, you guys have, I think that Black women have the biggest influence, or should have the biggest influence over Black culture. You know,
by far.
It's something that, you know, starts when you were young. I think every man can say they listen to their mom, they love their mama. You know, we're listening to you. You know, if you gotta force us to listen, force us to listen. You know, if it's something, I always say, so the man is the head of the household, but the woman is the neck, and the head can't move without the neck.
Yeah,
and I think that Black women should continue to do that. You guys have done an outstanding job. I mean, when you go back and you look at voting, historically, it's Black women that are voting, right? If you gotta drag a man by his ears, by his hair, whatever you gotta do to make us listen, because we hard-headed. We hard-headed. It's gonna take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. You might have to fill out the tester ballot that they say. Exactly. You got to fill out and say, vote this way. Take this with you, and if that's what we got to do, we got to do. But you know, I think that you guys are doing an outstanding job. But you know, it's, you know, again going, you know, piggybacking what you guys are saying is that, I mean, we do it as men too, but it's not a competition between Black women and Black women. You know, don't allow the media to push that narrative. It's not Real Housewives. It's not like that out there. You know, so keep doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely could agree with that. You know, I got a girlfriend, you know, we stay together, and, you know, it ain't nothing that she won't say to me or won't, you know, do in front of me that won't make me get my butt up and go take care of my business and go handle my business at the end of the day, because we know that we we do pretty much, as men, we do a lot of the heavy lifting. But without y'all that put that battery in our back, we're not going to be able to do that heavy lifting. And just continue to, you know, keep being positive and not give up on us either. I feel like too, I do understand, like, you know, you could bang your head on the wall so many times, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like, there's black boys out here that look like us black grown men, and showing that example of helping uplift a black grown man is going to show that black young boy that his mama, his sister, his future girlfriend or wife that is black is going to do the same and won't allow him to fail and won't allow him to be subjected to what's going on out here in this world and stuff like that. And what was that? Ashley, was it Ash or Erica that said in the beginning, like, not making your what is it? Your
Not
son,
making your son, you're basically like them.
Yeah.
whatever.
Your son is
yeah.
not your man.
Yeah, your son is not your man. Like, I grew up with my mom, like, you know, kind of putting that pressure up on me like that, and you know what I mean. It definitely hit home for me because you make a child want to grow up so fast because of the situations your parent might put you in, the environment you might grow up in, and things like that. You make a child, you make a black boy or a black girl want to evolve differently and subject themselves to what's going on in this world, because what they're getting fed at home isn't necessarily feeding them into the right direction. And but overall, like I said, just continue to be positive and continue to, you know, keep uplifting us, and you know, we gonna continue to, you know, keep doing that heavy lifting.
Yeah, all I was gonna say is continue to be you, and you is everything everyone has already said. You know, y'all that battery in our back. You know, y'all that get a neck to our head. Like, it's the truth. Yeah. You are and have been the backbone of black men for the totality of time. Like, like since the beginning of time, you have been doing it. So
you don't cry like boys cry. Boys don't cry for their daddy.
They cry for their mama. That's true. But it's like, continue to be, like, legitimately, that's how I feel about it. Just continue to be you. To his point, my girl be on my ass about shit all the time. But I know, you know, saying she not doing it to be a nuisance. She doing it because she cares. You know what I mean? She want me to be on top of my disappointment. She want me to have a good job. Right. She want me to be the best person I can be, you know, and continue to be that. Continue to be the person who wants the best in us. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, we might not always show we appreciate it. We might not always show that we care, but we do. You know what I'm saying? A lot of black men do not know how to affectionately show and say they care and love for someone. And in turn, we sometimes do and say things to women, our black women, that is just not acceptable. You know, it's true. I am no, you know, I'm not innocent of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm guilty of that. I've done it. You know what I'm saying? So as black women, I just encourage y'all to just continue to be y'all. You know, we might snap, we might fight, we might disagree, you know, but that's because, like Anson said, we hard-headed, you know. Sometimes it takes you, like he said, pulling us by our ear and getting us to do it like your grandma used to do. If you gotta do that to get us to the polls, get us to the polls. You can pull out 4 of my dreads. If that's how you gotta get me to the polls, that's how you gotta get me to the polls. You know, if you gotta say you're gonna buy this brother ice cream Sunday, lie to him. I don't care. Get him to the polls. But just continue to be y'all. Continue to be that driving force, that dedicated force behind us. And that's it. That's it for me.
I would actually say remain uncomfortable. You niggas have not been comfortable for as long as I can remember. You ain't been comfortable with the way people treat y'all about y'all looks. You ain't been comfortable with the way that the man carries himself in the household. You haven't been comfortable with the way that black men have been shipped off to prisons. You haven't been comfortable with the way that the schools have been misteaching our children. Y'all ain't been comfortable with shit for a long time. Stay that way. That's the reason the world is changing. That was a black woman holding that camera. You see what I'm saying?
Ooh,
don't get comfortable. Don't remain uncomfortable, because when you're uncomfortable, you grow. And this whole world is growing because you niggas have not been comfortable at all. I appreciate that. No bullshit.
Well said.
Thank you.
We had a couple questions. You got the live back.
Yeah.
So we had a couple questions in here that we touched on, but we wasn't specific about. So I was just going to give, a quick second to try to give them, a quick thought. One was, what would you like to see as a Black family do better, as the Black family, the household do better in our community?
I think for sure, definitely, I think reading more. Reading more.
I couldn't hear you.
Say,
You couldn't hear the question?
No, I can hear the question.
You breaking up, and Erica flashing.
Right, I'm sorry. I'm trying to make sure I'm seen. I'm getting I get dark at dark time, so
You get dark.
Okay, can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay. So the question was, what would something you would like to see the Black family do better?
And I was starting with me. I'm sorry. For me, I definitely think it's sitting down, reading with your family. I think taking time to share information amongst each other. Being able to allow your children to see the world for what it is, not necessarily kind of like throwing them to the wolves and kind of just throwing them a bunch of information and expecting them to just get it, but be able to explain to your child why racism is going on, to be able to explain why segregation happened, to be able to sit down and explain certain situations. I think we neglect as Black families sharing, our history and our lineage of, where we came from, how we started, what's going on in the world. I think Black people as well, we find it easy to detach ourselves from what's going on. Because I know my mom for a fact, she'd be like, boy, what you talking about? I don't even know what be going on. Leave that, I don't even mess with none of that stuff. Leave that, you know what I mean? Like growing up for me, growing up for me, like certain information wasn't shared in my home. Like, how to properly obtain a bank account, how to, what stocks can do for you, what, all those different things financially that could probably help me. Or, what is it, like, I don't know, just education wise, just, being able to sit down and communicate properly throughout your family, and sharing information is definitely key.
I would say.
Oh, Ashley, would you like to go?
Oh yeah. I would say not continuing generational trauma. That's like a really big thing. Like I've seen that across the board where things may have happened in the family and they continue to pass it on through the generations and not actually grow from it. And so down the line, it becomes one of those things where it's like, that's just how it is. And it really shouldn't be. So like an example would be, and I probably shouldn't use this example, but I'm going to use it anyway. I would say like welfare. So I've seen where people, their generations before them, they're on welfare and it becomes a way of life, not realizing that really it's there just to give you a helping hand for you to eventually work yourself out of being on assistance or federal assistance. But a lot of people look at it as a way to live. They're like, well, that's how, my grandparents were like that before me. My mom was like that before me. So it becomes something that's normal and it shouldn't be normalized.
No, I definitely
agree with that.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, real quick. Again, for me, like growing up, my mom, we grew up on all that stuff, and it's like, for her, it got to a certain point where my mom felt like, that's all we needed. She felt like, going to work wasn't necessary at a certain time. And as a kid, like as a Black kid, like I would ask my mom, like, hey mom, like why you don't go to work? Why you do these certain things and have these certain responsibilities. You know what I mean? And it's you see the world moving around you. You see what's going on around you, and as a child, you have to find a way to adapt to those situations on your own and understand these situations on your own. And I think again, like sitting down and sharing information and properly, showing your kids and your family how to do things, how to go about certain situations is key.
Erica,
some things that I think that some things that I think that Black families can do better. I think we need to install more general wealth. I think that there's a trend of Black families being poor and staying poor, and that the ones that are not poor or that have made it, they have that burden to take care of everybody else because of the curse that has happened with money. So I think we definitely need to have more Black families need to educate their kids more. I think that, and I can only talk about.
Erica, you're breaking up there. Aww.
What was defined as success was close to school. Can you hear me?
We can see you now. Yes.
Can you hear me? You can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Another thing is like, I think with our education systems, hold on. It says that my connection.
Yeah, sorry about that. We'll get back to you, Erica. Anson, word?
I think that we need to allow ourselves to listen to our children. I think we all grew up in the era of kids are to be seen and not heard, and sometimes not even seen. And I think that's a bad way of thinking. It translates, that kid is eventually going to be an adult and move into extremely white spaces, and they're going to feel the same way. I'm sure all of us have felt that way at some point, where you should have spoken up against something that somebody white had said, but you don't want to be seen as the angry Black man or angry Black woman. And the issue from when you were a child that told you not to say something, translated over. It's the same thing with child molestation. Within our community, is something that we don't like to talk about. That uncle that just had some type of extra friendly relationship with a kid, where he always wanted the kids to sit on his lap, or maybe that the aunt's friend that would come over. It's something that's really not talked about, is that young black boys having their first sexual experience at an extremely young age. So I just think that we just need to listen to our kids, more, and allow ourselves to be open to listen to our kids.
Yeah.
I know I zoomed out. Is there any way I can come right back in?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so like I said, with generational wealth, and also with I think with our education, I think the Black community or Black families need to push more on HBCUs instead of PWIs, because again, I feel like with PWIs you're just another small fish in a big pond, and it's not as beneficial as that historical Black college component. Like when I went to University of Washington for my master's, I did not feel as equipped or educated within regards to my Blackness as I went to Florida A&M University. It was completely different. So I think that also, yes, while PWIs have more money and maybe more scholarships, I mean, I can look at it from that perspective, but these Black schools are giving our Black people, or they're opening doors to our Black people that to where people have shut doors on them beforehand. Sorry if I mix that up, but I think that we need to do stuff with that. And to Anson's point, listening to our children, I think that nobody wants to talk about that pervert that we have in the family. And anytime that you did speak up and say like, mommy, I think he touched me, you were told not to speak about it. And you were told not, like, that wasn't what it was. And that, you know, basically you were delusional. So I think that we need to listen to our kids. We need to also not have the stigma when it comes to sexuality, especially to gay, lesbian family members. I think that they need to be accepted more, especially nowadays, because now it's like sometimes what some family members say, you're Black, that's already an issue. Now you want to be gay? And it's like, well, no, you can be both, and you're not supposed to be treated less than because you are. So I think with sexuality, that stigma needs to be eliminated in Black households.
I have one more thing to add.
Okay.
I would say with the Black families, I would like to see them talk more about mental health. That's a really good thing. Mental health, stigmatized. You know, we're not supposed to talk about our problems. We're supposed to always be strong. We don't have issues. And a lot of times that plays into people's psyche, where over time, and it eventually becomes an issue because it wasn't addressed when they were younger, or, you know, when they were like, I'm not feeling good, you know, I think I'm depressed, they're called crazy and everything else. It's brushed off. And I think that in turn contributes to a lot of like the high suicide rates and things like that amongst our Black community, because they're not taken seriously. So I think that's a conversation that families need to have, and they need to recognize that people aren't perfect and everybody sometimes needs some sort of help, especially in the mental capacity.
Yeah.
Ash, you said that completely, like I couldn't have said it even better. Mental health is an issue in Black families.
Mm-hmm.
I echo all those sentiments as well. Just we got to talk, and we got to be open to, when we ask a question, we have to be open to the answer. Yeah. You know, we might not like it, but at the end of the day, we should all respect it and let that person live their life and still wish them well. Yeah. Okay, so excuse me, to bring it back to the Black Lives Matter movement and things of that nature and the current state, what are some immediate changes you would like to see as far as the police force and the way Black people are policed?
I would say a short-term goal and a long-term goal, stop killing us. That's number one.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what else. I mean, that's immediate with law enforcement. Stop killing us. Stop thinking that we're a threat. Stop pulling us over and then killing us because whatever fear you have of us, you're the one that pulled us over. You're the one approaching us. Stop. Sorry, I feel like I'm talking too much. Anybody else want to go? Because I'm on the page.
I think one thing is that they need to start looking at defunding some of these police departments. I know LAPD, I think they had some sort of, something happened where they defunded like part of their police department. I think that needs to be something across the board, that they need to start doing that. I really don't think we need law enforcement to police some of the things that are out here. It's a boys club. That's how the police departments are. They do for their own, even if they know they're in the wrong. It's whatever code of honor, whatever that is that they take. At some point, somebody has to be responsible. Somebody has to answer for everything. So I think a first step will be moving into defunding some of these police departments, especially those that have high arrest rates for Black men, Black women, behavioral issues, police officers. I mentioned that earlier. If they have behavioral issues or conduct, whatever marks on their records, they need to be removed from the police force, not suspended, but removed, because they're unstable. Pretty much, they're unstable, and that's not what they signed up to do. They signed up to protect and serve, and if they can't even do that, then they shouldn't be allowed to wear a badge.
For sure.
I mean, the thing about the police force, I can't understand why they want to play the victim now. Like, the amount of pressure that they're receiving from the media does not equate to half the amount of the pressure of what George Floyd has felt on his neck that day.
Yeah.
I don't give a damn what you want to say. I don't like this whole Blue Lives Matter. Like, I understand police are out there human too, putting their lives out on the line. But if they're taking lives from us, that's not acceptable either. And there needs to be some restructure going on in enforcement. And I'm sick of tired of seeing that and people getting or police officers getting away with that. It can no longer happen. That's the issue with our mental health right there. We're afraid to go outside and God forbid something happens and we get pulled over. It's such an issue.
And it's like they feel their lives are more important, but the thing is we didn't choose to be Black. Y'all chose to wear the uniform. So y'all have that choice. Definitely gotta
speak it. Yes.
Yeah. And Son, you want to say something?
I think we need to tear down and reestablish law enforcement. And I know that you guys all touched on it. So let me touch on financial institutions. A lot of what's going on started with financial institutions, with Black people being seen as profit. That's exactly. How did the police department start? Police started because they were organizations started to round up slaves. Why? Because slaves made somebody money.
Yep.
These financial institutions are doing the same thing with districting, loans. A lot of what's happening in the community. We couldn't get loans. We had to figure out our own way.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't live in certain places because we couldn't get loans to live in those places. We couldn't start businesses because we couldn't get loans that way. It's kind of like what you see with the music industry. Nobody's really doing labels; they're doing it on their own. So we can either we do that, or they need to correct their wrongs. I know that Bank of America, I think, what was it? They promised $2 billion. Or $2 million towards helping. That's not enough. The damage is done.
Yeah.
You've already done the damage. There's clearly the fact that we have white neighborhoods and Black neighborhoods says it all. It says it all right there. So that we need to see more of our faces in those institutions, more of our faces where the decision makers are. You know, I hate to say it, but we need a seat at the table. Just that opportunity.
Right. If I can add to Anson's statement real quick. Oh no, if I can add on to his statement, I think that there needs to be a higher requirement to be an officer, because obviously it's being taken for granted by certain people. I think that if it takes years of experience to get into corporate America, you have to have this degree, you have to have this type of qualification, you have to have this experience. You also have to do the same thing with being a cop, because obviously, because you're putting your lives are in other people. No, other people's lives are in your hands, and for you to take away people's lives like that just so quickly and so effortlessly, that's a problem. So I think the requirement and the standards of being a cop needs to be escalated, or needs to be it needs to be harder to be a cop than what it is now.
It's also a compassion issue. I mean, you see clearly, I don't know if you guys saw the second video for George Floyd, taken by another stand-byer, but there's a young Black man that's begging the officers to get off of his neck, begging the Asian officer, talking directly to the Asian officer, saying, you know this is wrong. You know what he's doing is wrong. You can stop it right now. That man hasn't moved in 2 minutes. You know he's killing them. You can stop it, right? That's a lack of compassion. You can even go back to what's been in the national headlines right now, where the older gentleman was walking and he kind of stopped in front of the cops, said something, and they pushed him, and they just walked over that man. His head was clearly leaking blood, and they walked over. That's a compassion. You, in your heart, if you don't believe that is wrong, you don't need to be on the force.
That is a problem. I definitely agree with all that. We definitely have to do something about these financial institutions, because Blacks and brown people we pay the most overdraft fees. We pay the highest interest rates on automobiles and on loans. We have the least amount of business loans, yet we pay the highest interest rates on them. It is ridiculous. We have to do something about these financial institutions, you know. And I worked for Wells Fargo. I worked for them when they acquired a company called Wachovia. Wachovia was the designer of the adjustable rate mortgage. If your parents or a family member bought a house between 90 and 2005, more than likely it was an adjustable rate mortgage. And when the economy went belly up, you lost your house. Because that payment went from $400 to $1,200, and you ain't know what to do. It hurt us, and it hurt our community so bad. That's why, you know, to Anson's point, now we got to go back to them and get a loan.
Yeah,
we got to go back to them and say, yeah, I know I defaulted on that first loan. Yes, I know this, but come on, man, I'm begging you. I got to do something. I need a new home. I'm trying to get out this black community that you assess at 1/4 the value of a house a mile and a half away.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do something. So now you finna charge me 8, 9, 10, 11, 12% on a home loan when a white dude, or not even a white dude, someone else in a different community is getting 6%, 5%, 4.2. It's ridiculous. We have to do something about these financial institutions. We have to do something about the police. Like, I definitely agree. It should be some merits on your resume when you step into that room for that interview. It should be some merits on your resume and not what you can do in combat.
Yeah.
I don't care that you was a UFC fighter. I don't care that you can bench press 200, run 3 miles. I don't care. What did you score on your psychiatric evaluation? That's what we need. What did you?
And what have you done as community service too?
Right. You know, are you part of an organization that has been shown themselves to be of value to the community?
Yeah.
Any of them. It ain't just got necessarily be a black community, because it's more than just black cops. But what is you doing? If you just going to take and use your power at your fruition, you need to find you a different profession. If you actually come to protect and serve, then you need to show some merits to prove that, and then we can have an interview, not a hiring, an interview. But that's my take on it. Anyone back there?
Oh, you're good.
Mm-hmm. We also wanted to ask, what were some long-term changes, some things that you think can be done but will take time to do, as far as what the Black Lives Matter movement can do?
I think everything's going to be long-term because they didn't care about it in the first place. So now they have to give a damn about it to show that they're not racist or that they value all, Black lives. I think everything that we're going to state after I'm finished speaking is going to be long-term, just because they had the opportunity to not care about it and they utilize it to the fullest.
I completely agree with Erica. I couldn't have summed it up better.
Anson?
What's the saying that history is taught by the winners? So there's a song by Dead Prez called "They Schools," and it's a very pertinent song to what's going on. There's a miseducation that's going around to our youth, and it needs to stop. I think I said it earlier, that Black history is not a month. We built this country. Just as much as you learn about George Washington, you should be learning about George Washington Carver every single month. It's not just 1 month. You can't just have us build a country and say, okay, thank you, we got it from here, and teach the rest the history of that.
They try to do.
It's exactly what they're doing right now. And then for us to feel, oh, well, we're thankful that we have a month. That's not enough. We have to make them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So we have to make them uncomfortable with it, because if they're not uncomfortable, they're not going to change. It's not going to change. So I'd like to see just that change in the educational system.
Yeah.
I think for me, long term, I definitely think it's education. It's always about teaching. It's always about leaving a bright spot. I also think that opening up opportunity to Black people like us. Like I said before, as far as our Black-owned small businesses and things like that, I think we have to make opportunity more available to people in our neighborhoods and our communities. We have to reach out and want to work with other Black-owned small businesses, regardless if you do hair or if you cut hair or if you might make clothing or whatever it is. If you make Tupperware at home in your basement, we all have to find a way to open up opportunity to each other and lend up a hand, because at the end of the day, that's what white people do. They look and find a way where they can build a group or of some sort where they all can build up off each other. They all can capitalize off each other. And it's not where like they're all biting each other's heads off or anything like that. It's a mutual agreement, all that kind of stuff. And we have to be able to communicate amongst each other and be willing to give that information and give opportunity to people like us. We can't be reluctant to not give opportunity, because we have to be able to feed our youth. We have to be able to feed the generation that comes after us, because they're going to continue to help propel Black culture and what we do in this world and in our nation. We have a lot of people, a lot of kids out here that, I'm sure that want to be athletes and stuff like that, but we also have to be able to willing and show them that there's other opportunity out here. Like I said, nobody would ever thought a boy like me or a Black boy like me that, you would think needs to play basketball would be dealing in marijuana or dealing with marijuana and wanting to create opportunity for people that look like me in this field and in this industry. And that's where we have to be open, and we have to be willing to be optimistic and not be afraid to get our hands dirty and get our knees and our elbows dirty. Because white people out here willing to do it, we got to be able to do it too. We have to be willing to give that extra effort and take the time to show love and compassion to the person standing next to us, because we are fighting battles. We are fighting a war, not just for ourselves. We're fighting it for everybody. And once I think Black people understand the bigger picture in themselves, then we will, be able to have some longevity and something to work on.
All right, I agree with all of that. All right, I'm gonna ask this, and this can be our last question for the evening. It is 8:30 Central Standard Time. I know some people got to get up out of here, so I'm just gonna ask this question, and then we can do what we got to do. What are your expectations for your non-Black allies?
So my expectations is that they continue to ask questions. Like, I don't want them assuming anything. I think a lot of it is they have assumed a lot about what Black Lives Matter is, instead of asking. So the only thing that I can ask for them is to continue to educate themselves, not necessarily that I'm going to do it, because I don't feel like I should have to educate them. But
I agree.
They can find somebody else to educate them. They could pick up a book, they could read an article, whatever it may be. And if they have questions, they can ask. Because I think that's the biggest thing that has happened. They've assumed that Black Lives Matter is this terrorist organization, and it's not. That we're the ones rioting. It's not us. It's actually people that look like them that are, starting these riots. And then we're having to basically go back and then try to clean up everything when it wasn't us to begin with. So the first thing is going to start, and we've said this, I think this is a major concept of this whole town hall, is education. They really need to educate themselves at the end of the day. That's the only thing that I can expect out of them. I don't expect anything else out of them, because then it's going to feel forced. It's going to feel like they're being made to do something. So if you want to learn, completely fine.
And
but we're not going to force you to do anything else.
I definitely agree with that. I don't, to me, I don't think it's left up to us to teach them. Mm-hmm. We have to be able to show with our actions that they are willing to, continue to want to learn. And we have to continue to give white people something to learn about. We can't stop, doing what we're doing based on what's going on in the world or what the next white person feels about us, or, whatever opportunity they decide to give us. I I think that also too, like a lot of white people, they do a lot of watching. White people love to watch. They do a lot of watching. They love to see what we're up to. But, you know, it's up to them to take that time and take the gratitude to want to look into that information and to enlighten themselves about us. I think that us being Black people, I think we're doing the job we need to do to enlighten the world and show the world what we can do, what we have been doing, not what we can do, what we have been doing for years, decades, centuries, how we can carry a nation on our back, how we can carry the burden of our own people and the next people on our back and on our shoulders. And if I feel like at the end of the day, if nobody wants to take that time to learn and understand us, that's where we have to stand up and make the people that look like us and people that are colored like us to understand and how we want to move and which direction we need to move in, because at the end of the day, they don't want us here. They don't want us here. So I think, you know, our best move at the end of the day is focusing on our focal point as a whole, and more so allow, you know, white people to see us and how we move and continue to watch us, continue to watch. Because at the end of the day, at the end of the day, they're not going to take the time out to really come step to us and ask a question. So we have to leave them with those questions by how we show with our actions.
Anson, would you like to go?
Oh, you can go if you like, less.
I mean, I can go. I think what I would expect from my allies is to not manipulate our oppression furthermore. I think that our allies need to use the privilege that they have that we as Black folks don't have in good, to make sure that they are really valuing the Black lives that they're saying that are matter. I don't want Black lives to be a trend. I don't want Black lives to be this thing like it's a popularity contest. I don't want Black Lives Matter to be this thing like, oh, I'm an ally, but you know, I'm gonna say that you're an ally, but you're not gonna see what I'm going to do outside of that. I need our allies to use the privilege that they have in the benefit of our Black lives. And I think they also need to be able to, I don't want to say allow, but I think they just need to accept that we are special, that we have ideas, that we have potential to be more than what media and our white oppressors have allowed us to be. And they need to, you know, just let us be. So that's all I can say.
I would say they need to, I'm going to be very blunt, just shut up, listen, and learn. You're stepping into a space that is extremely Black. You're stepping into a space where people have been victimized, and I refuse to call us victims, but you're stepping into a space that people have been victimized for years and years and years, and then gaslit to think that, hey, you can get out of this. You do what everybody else in America does. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Right. No, that's not what it is. If we're telling you, if you want to be an ally, just sit back and do as we direct you to do. We don't need you to sit here and paint BLM on buildings and then us getting blamed for it. We don't need you to be the face of the movement when you're not the one being victimized by it.
Yeah.
Just listen, learn, and do as we tell you to do. That's how best to help. You don't sit here and you don't go to a doctor and say, I'm sick, I think I don't know what I have. And the doctor comes back and says, well, I think you have the flu. And you say, no, I don't. And you just walk away. You listen to what he says because he's the expert in his field. Who else is the expert in being Black besides a Black person?
I can't think of one.
And that's what they need to do. Just shut up, listen, learn, do as told.
I love that sentiment. I think we can end this discussion on that right there.
Yeah.
Shut up, listen, learn, and do as you told.
Yeah.
I do appreciate all y'all for joining us this evening.
For sure, man.
It was a joy and a pleasure. As I said, I'm appreciative on behalf of the BudTawk crew. Thank you, Miss Miles. Thank you, Miss Hayward. Thank you, Mr. Kerr. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. And until next time we reconvene, this has been BudTawk. I'm Sir Sin, aka Your Highness. This is Bully, aka Big Chris. Hefe in the back. Tay Rasta Flame in the back. And this has been BudTawk. Thank y'all for joining us. It's been real. Bye, y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks.
Bye.